Welcome back to New Jersey What Exit. My guests already have me laughing. Hi, this is Joey Novick, and you are listening to New Jersey What Exit, Punchlines and Politics. Welcome back. We have a great show today. We have several very good friends who we've been chatting while we're getting ready for the show, and they already have me laughing. But first, I want to introduce someone who I serve with the last, 3 years with on the Flemington Borough Council. He's a new guest here at New Jersey Would Exit, a very good friend of mine, Council President. I want to get that right, Council President Brian Swingle.
You got it.
Welcome. You can applaud. Welcome here. And so tell me, I have been off the Borough Council, I guess, now is 4 months.
Not long enough to stop getting phone calls.
What's going on? I'm still getting phone calls. People think I'm still on the Borough Council. I actually told one woman I was no longer on the Borough Council, and she said, Mr. Novick, you don't have to lie if you don't want to take my phone call. So what's going on? Anything happening since I left?
Sure. We're working on a lot of great projects. We got the Union Hotel projects moving along, and I'm sure there are preservationists out there listening to Joey's great show here. So I'd say to them is that you want to hold on to the hotel, you just got to come to the table with, $5-10 million, a lot of money.
And right now, I guess Jack Cuss, that project has gotten a lot of...
He's a very serious developer. He's on the table now. He's on deck. He's been appointed by the Borough Council to redevelop not only the hotel, but the rest of that block. And has a great project. And its net value is probably the single largest capital infusion in possibly Hunterdon's history.
And this is really so important to not only Flemington Borough, but also Hunterdon County, because, Flemington being the county seat, we have some really beautiful areas. I mean, we're going to be talking to Mayor Janice Kovacs about how, beautiful the Red Mill and what a great small town that is. And Flemington has, I've heard for years, just like a lot of potential. I mean, the hotel project, very important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The hotel project's a big piece of the downtown, and I think bringing life to the core center, the county seat, that's the capital of Hunterdon County. We know it in a lot of respects these days, but I think we're getting there. We're moving along, and things have been improving, and town's coming along. We're doing some great stuff.
Now in his plan, this is one of the controversial questions. Certainly the freeholders have supported this. Is actually the tearing down of the Union Hotel to make way for that. Is tearing down the Union Hotel kind of like tearing down the Washington Monument to say we're going to build something better and bigger there? A lot of people think of that in that way.
Well, sure. I think there's a couple of ways you could look at it, right? One way is that it's not the first incarnation of the Union Hotel. Right?
That's true.
It's like the third or the fourth incarnation of a hotel in that location, and the reality of it is, in the end of the day, it's historic and it's got some great value, but it's probably a couple of decades short on a restoration, and unless somebody's going to come to the table with a lot of disposable income, they don't look for any return on investment.
And that's what I was thinking in terms of everybody who wants to see the Union Hotel stay there. Yeah. My question always is, can you get out your checkbook and can you write the check to make sure that stays? Now, Jack has been willing to do that, and I know that there are some people, and I read last week that there were some folks who got together at the Stengel Stage place and were expressing their...
Yeah, I showed up and I had a chance to speak with those folks for a couple of hours and out in the heat, and it was good. It was an enjoyable conversation, and I think, but they, in the end of the day, I think while I heard their passion and I understand their cries, they didn't really offer an alternative direction or plan that provided resources to be able to do something different with the project. So.
Which is the thing that I've heard now. I guess this is the third building in Flemington that I've heard about, let's try to keep it. The first one was the old Hunterdon Theater, which is now Walgreens. There was another building I think just ran out of my memory, now the Union Hotel. So what happens, at what point in time is the scales tipped that you can no longer call Flemington historical Flemington if we continue to lose buildings like this? Well,
sure, absolutely. I think at the end of the day, it's somewhat a triage, right? We're a historic town, which have a lot of buildings that are pretty far past their prime. And,
sure.
So we're like the Large House, for instance, which is a really iconic building, is getting saved. That's been acquired and it's being worked on. So there's some buildings of that magnitude will be saved, but to be honest, the Union Hotel is on a scale that is outside the norm for Hunterdon County. And I think you could look at another project in Hunterdon County, certainly not, the station here in Lambertville, or even the forgive me, the hotel in Frenchtown.
The National Hotel.
And they're certainly not even on a quarter of the scale of the Union Hotel. So when you get farther up into the investment scales, you start to the number of fish in the pond who are capable of doing that kind of project start to dwindle pretty fast.
See,
so.
when I was going door to door and when I was running last year, one of the things I would ask is, what do we do with the Union Hotel? And I would say it was split pretty much 50-50. Half the people said, give me a truck and a plow and I'll have it done tomorrow. And other people said, the reason why I moved here is because I like walking down Main Street and like seeing these places. And
Sure.
I know that this comes down to an alcohol license, a beverage license, which Jack now owns, and the council I know is 100% in favor of this. Anybody on the council who kind of questions the idea? I know you've had a couple of new people on council.
I think everybody. I think it's disingenuous to believe that anybody on the council doesn't feel some loss or sorrow for the building. I think we all have. We've all had memories and times there, and I think everybody has experienced great things with the building. But at the same time, when you're looking at what the alternative option is there's nothing on deck right now. So
I know. I mean, that was the thing. I mean, you have somebody who's purchased. I think he spent $1.3 million or $1.4 million,
something like that. Yeah.
$1.2 million on a liquor license, which I think is outrageous. As it is, I mean, we talk about the government. I mean,
pretty pricey. License.
It's a pretty pricey license.
Yeah.
When you think about just to serve alcohol, $1.2 million for something basically that allows you to take an action, and they're going to keep those licenses very, very scarce. But that's really what's necessary on Main Street. What else is happening in Flemington? Anything?
Sure, just a lot of great events. Like rebooting our Business Improvement District Management Corporation.
Familiar with that? I'm a little familiar with that. One? A little familiar with that.
So rebooting that, and I think we've got some really great people have come to the table. Kind of clearing the air. It's allowed a lot of volunteerism to kind of happen. We see a lot of grassroots efforts coming up and people spawning up new events and some great stuff. We think we have a bigger, better replacement event for Thursday Night Lights, which will be music all over town throughout our town on Thursdays.
And one of the things, in fact, I just spoke with Wendy about this, is I want to do and produce courthouse comedy, free outdoor comedy on the courthouse steps. What I might do with Wendy, I spoke with her about this, and she wants to do these on Thursdays. I actually might take on either Friday or Wednesday as a free outdoor shows, which is, because I think it's a great place. Between the success of the fundraiser for Kimmy Getz, where we had about 170 people, they raised about $4,000 for her, and along with the the great location of outdoor comedy. And I was actually at a show. I did a show in Somerville. They have something called Comedyville, which is outdoors, all clean comedy. You can bring the kids, and it was so sensational. I said, we've got to do this in Flemington. So that's one of the things I'm planning to do.
Yeah, I think that's going to be great. And on top of that,
I hope so, man.
We're also working on being able to see if we can't put together something like a beer garden on Main Street. So that's kind of been an idea that's kind of been coming together. So we've been working on that. So
excellent. Excellent.
Stuff.
So, hey, I want to welcome you to the show. I'm going to be introducing. Thank you, and we'll get back to you. I want to introduce, we're going to start out with the mayor of, this is your second time on the show, the mayor of the beautiful village, or is it the
town.
Beautiful town? Sorry, I didn't mean to call it village. I misspoke again. I'm going to get my butt kicked here. So the beautiful town of Clinton, absolutely one of those beautiful towns in all of Hunterdon County. We like to go there to City Spot. Welcome Mayor Janice Kovacs, longtime mayor of great. And we have an old friend of mine, Gemini Johnny Lombardi, magician, ventriloquist, performer, all-around guy that has been all over the world performing. I want to thank you for joining us today on the radio.
Well, thank you for having me.
I appreciate that very much. I appreciate that.
I'm glad to be here.
I appreciate that very much. And I could feel the sincerity of your...
I said it with all my heart.
I know. I appreciate that. Then you gave me all these... actually, I was very impressed you actually prepared for this very well. I was very impressed with your daughter.
Yeah, I asked her to do it. She's, I said it was that or we wouldn't talk.
Yeah.
I don't know how to tell you that.
And your daughter,
at that point,
and your daughter is in college at Rutgers.
She's at Rutgers,
and she's going to go to law school. Attempt to go to law school.
Law school.
And
I've been trying to convince her to do the free comedy at the courthouse.
I think you should do that.
It's the same thing.
As someone who has been to law school, I know that it's very, very tough. But good luck for her, man. That's
Thank you.
That is great. How are good grades? She does well in school.
I try not to look.
Yeah, try not to look.
Why did the show become about her all of a sudden?
I know. Okay, well, I was trying to pay tribute. There you go. Let me go back around to again, very good friend of mine for more than 25. Thank you. More than 30 years in the business. Just flew back from Los Angeles
That's right,
for
boy,
auditions.
well, you
Julia
know.
Scotti, headlining comedy clubs all over the place. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you.
For joining.
I brought no clips with me. I have
brought no
no
clips.
clips. I don't use child labor like somebody else I know. Blackmail my children into cutting
I
up
think you need to
newspapers.
clip out. He's got some really good stuff here. To boost New Jersey's pension system, avoid costly investment fees. I mean, and he actually brought the clippings, which is very, very important. So, the Board of Education reportedly to approve pioneering the transgender policy, which is very big.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
We're going to talk.
You won't have enough time for that one.
Hey, that was it was completely.
Did you hear, just going on that,
What?
that they now have for the animals in the airport now, the animal, the dogs, if you have a dog, they have a bathroom to have in the dog. It was on the news just coming here.
I did not know that.
Yes.
I did
Do
not
they
know that.
Could you imagine
discriminate? Suppose the dog identifies as a cat. Do they have to go?
Any animal. Any animal. It said any, I don't want to say pussy.
No,
Did
you can say that on pussycat. You can say that on the air.
Pussycat, okay.
You can say
Any
pussycat on the
pussy-
air.
Any pussy.
Boy, you've been on for like 3 minutes. You already went right to the right to the pussy, didn't you? Just-
I was just trying to say that you could go there with the dog.
You can.
Or
I
the
think,
pussycat.
I think that is absolutely wonderful.
Or
We were
bird.
talking about that. I know that Christie has said that if such a bill came before him, that he would not sign it.
Of course
this
not,
whole
yeah.
gender specific.
How come with all this boy, girl, and thing, how come they don't just have the bathroom and just the person could go in and just close the door?
Well,
and whatever you're on,
they
just
do
you're in your
have
little room?
family. They do have
Right.
family
Right.
rooms.
Yeah.
They have family rooms. I mean, you've got kids. I mean, you probably take them to the family room.
No, I
you
got
know.
kids. Yeah, I got kids. The whole conversation with having kids, it changes the dynamic of it. It certainly is a little.
I mean, what do you do if you're the male and you're taking your daughter into the bathroom, or you're a woman and you're taking your son into the bathroom? That's been an issue for years.
But the example that's always given is the male to female transgender person.
Right.
Nobody ever talks about the female to male,
Male transgender, right.
And you send a female to male person into a woman's room, you're going to get the same reaction.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I would
You know,
imagine.
but nobody ever talks about that.
No.
When I'm in Health Quest, I don't like take my daughter and go into the female's bathroom.
No, I can't. You don't. You're not going to do that
But
automatically.
the bigger
But
issue.
you take somebody else's door.
There we go.
Who said that? The same guy who talked about the
Yeah,
pussycat.
Across the board.
the bigger issue.
But he brought clips, so I have to go with him.
Did you hear me say the bigger issue?
Yes.
When somebody says the bigger issue, everything stops.
It should. Shh, everyone. Julia.
I'm listening.
I forgot what the bigger issue is.
Julia,
now.
go ahead. The issue. The table is yours. Go
The
ahead.
bigger issue is that the big knock from the religious right and excuse me, but the Republican Party in general is that they're worried that transgendered people are going to be molesting children right and left. The guys are going to get dressed up as women and run into the bathroom. And that's just there isn't one recorded instance of a trans person molesting anyone. And let me finish.
I didn't say anything.
I think more people have had molestation problems in Congress. More senators have been arrested in toilets doing things than most transgendered people. I mean, it's such a bogus non-issue.
It's a fear.
It is
That's all it's about. Is there's this fear of the unknown, and no one likes change. And I think that's what the biggest issue.
I think it definitely touches on no one like change part, but I also think it touches too just on the fact that we seem to be constantly just like erasing the rules, right? It just like doesn't seem like I think a lot of people like to live their lives and understand what the rules are that they're playing by. And then all of a
how
sudden,
is it erasing the rules?
Well, because there's like signs on the door, right, that says, "Hey, this is who uses this one. This is who uses that one." And I think there are a lot of people who like that comfortable box. That's like, "Hey, listen, this is."
But I think that's us in the United States. I think we get
it
so
could be.
set in structure, and I mean, we're an uptight group of individuals.
We are, but if I can make a point to that, the state of New Jersey has issued me a birth certificate that says I am legally female.
Okay.
All right, if I were to take that, even if I had that birth certificate and went down to North Carolina, I still could be arrested for using the bathroom down there. So it's it's a lot of crap.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know,
And, it's a very interesting issue. I mean, look, there's been a lot of changes. You talk about how we don't like change. There have been a lot of changes in the past 5 years with regard to our relationship with the gay and lesbian community. They have come full circle in terms of being able to marry in America, and it didn't happen legislatively. It happened through the courts. It happened at the Supreme Court level. And I think this issue of the Supreme Court had ruled in the opposite way, throwing it back to the states. I still think we would be in the middle of that. I think you would have some states which would have allowed marriage. Then you would have had states like New Jersey would have said, well, we allow marriage here. Do we recognize marriages from other states? So I'm glad that the Supreme Court, and I think ever since that, we've had, this constant battle.
but to Brian's point about the rules of the rules, not so long ago, the rules were that a white guy couldn't marry a person of color. So
Right. Yeah.
the rules are, evolve.
They change.
They need to.
They need
and
to
we
evolve.
just need to be able to get past that fear and the hate mongering that seems to kind of come with it.
I mean, someone with long hair, wearing what looks like, a dress and sandals, we would normally think that person would be going into the women's room. Now, that is the way Jesus dressed, okay? So if he were around today, what bathroom would he use with long hair and I'm sorry, as a Jew, maybe I shouldn't go there, but.
and on the converse of that argument, what I would also say is that, you have to be able to find space to respect other people's views who weren't emotionally or mentally there yet, where they've made that evolution or that jump. They like the rigidity in their lives and their in their beliefs.
But how do you? I guess that's kind of how do you kind of balance the two of it? So how do you respect both sides?
Thank you.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
because I think it becomes down, and this is often where, like what Joe was saying about how the Supreme Court kind of ruled, and it comes down to rights, right? And that's what it comes down to.
Right.
And that's where honestly, it's a very good. Important part of that also comes down to rules, is where the Supreme Court rules in and says, no, listen, this is a right, or this is someone's privilege, and that's it. And I think that's an important thing to defining a lot of
and the other
things.
the other
that's why
thing,
the battles end up there.
The other thing I think that really happened here is this is about going to the bathroom. And when I think about this is the argument that we're having on the national level. That is where these rights are.
One of the many ridiculous arguments we're having.
I talk about that in my act.
Yeah,
and I say it's like, you can't mix transgender pee with normal pee. Gets in the water system.
No, you can't do that.
No, you can't
that's
do.
right.
Next thing you know, we're all growing boobies and getting vaginas implanted.
And it's. I've never really thought about it that way. Thank you, Julia.
You think
for
Flint,
sharing.
Michigan's got
Because they don't flush. That's the only reason that would happen. Nobody flushes.
Try to imagine
You got to
Chris
flush the
Christie
bowl.
with breasts,
What's the matter? You want to save them water?
And you can't mix that Jew pee with the Christian pee.
no, you know what? You'd be all beating matzo.
Matzo. So just can't do that. No. But it's interesting having the arc of. I remember when they first passed civil unions in Vermont, probably 15 years ago. I remember thinking, "Hey, that's good. People who love each other of the same gender have a way now to be in a union that's recognized by the law." And my evolution on this actually came when I was watching Stephen Goldstein, who was the former resident of Garden State Equality, talked about how civil unions were not enough because civil unions were kind of like getting gay and lesbian people to the middle of the bus, and it's like it was still different than marriage. So we've joined the rest of the world, and now that we have marriage equality, we have issues like this. So if you have to pee, just pee in your pants. I think that would be
I would
the
like
best.
to throw this
or
out
your
too.
dress if you happen to be wearing that.
My plan is, and I'd like to organize this, and I may start in Flemington, is to have stickers made up that simply say a transgendered person peed here and no one was hurt.
And no one was hurt.
Just put it right in the skull
everywhere. Yep. That was that. I was actually going to do that myself. So now that you've, I will let you do that. Let me
because
go on.
I told you about it.
Let me go on to another topic that is that has been in the news. Unless we're done with peeing, anyone else have to go? Let me just bring up. So it's number 2 on our list here, which is number 2. Number 2. He said number 2. I can't believe he did that. So will New Jersey be relevant in the June 7th presidential primary? Because we have again, it's coming up in about a month. We have Trump had just won 5 states, and the Republican Party has committed to not letting Trump reach 1237, and yet New Jersey is a winner-take-all state for the Republicans. So
Indiana decides it.
And right now it looks like
I
he's
don't understand that part.
What?
You said the Republican Party doesn't, but they. What? Can you repeat that?
Oh, no, what I said is the Republican Party does their primary differently than the Democratic Party.
Right.
The Republican Party has had many states that are winner-take-all, which means that whatever
there is, they get
number
them
of
all.
delegates, they get them all.
Right.
The Democratic Party has been doing it on a percentage basis.
But you said that the Republican
The
are not
party doesn't want
doesn't want Trump.
No,
but
the
they didn't have a chance to really do anything
Except for
other than
super delegates.
publicly.
Right. Well, I mean, what they're trying to do in Indiana, I don't know, you've read what they're doing in Indiana. What they're really trying to do is prevent Donald Trump from getting 1,237 delegates, which is what he needs, and to win. If he comes to the table in Cleveland when they're in July or August, I can't remember.
July.
July. If he comes to the convention with 1,237 delegates, it's over.
It's over.
You think it's over? You don't think that there's still going to be some sort of an
No.
insurrection?
I
there won't
can't
be.
imagine that if he comes with a number of delegates, I think this is all going to be done before
They're
him.
smart enough to know that there's no end game with an insurrection. If you don't
Yeah.
if they can legitimately stop him within the rules and say, hey, listen,
Yeah.
he didn't get to the 1237, then
So-
fine.
I think they're
When he
just going to
says-
write off the election and just because he's not going to beat Hillary.
But when you say legitimate,
Sure.
what is the what? How are they doing? Just through Cruz? Like
Yeah,
doing-
so
that's the
well,
Cruz and
well,
and
the
other guy.
effort is interestingly enough. I think the bizarre part about the whole thing is you see Cruz is the very very outside candidate who the party despises. You know, I think you saw Boehner call him Lucifer. I thought it was somewhat hysterical.
Which, by the way,
And,
I had a conversation with the
yeah.
devil. The devil was very upset being compared to Ted Cruz.
Yeah, exactly. So the party's reluctantly having to lash itself to Ted Cruz's battleship here, and
But they're still
and that's
talking
it.
about others if they have the contested convention. I mean, they're talking.
Yeah, well, of course, once you get to a contested convention, it could be almost anybody. But I think in reality, Cruz holds enough delegates that if it goes to a contested convention, he could give Trump a run for his money.
Yeah, and they could never bring in a white horse candidate.
No.
Oh, I didn't think so either.
No,
But,
the
party at this
conversation.
But I'm very happy to watch them implode.
Well, it is. I have to say, it is fun to watch from the Democratic side, and this is why I love politics. I mean, you and I, we live politics every single day, and I'm watching, and I'm for Bernie, and having gone door to door for Bernie and knocking on doors. I mean, I've said over and over again that if Bernie is not the person who becomes the candidate, the day after Bernie is announces saying that he's pulling out, I mean, I'm all in for Hillary Clinton, and it'll take me like a nanosecond to realize that I want a Democrat in the White House. I was want.
It's the same thing that'll happen on the other side too.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. I am not that confident that Donald Trump is going to be as beatable as everyone else thinks. I think we still need to do the work.
Oh, yeah,
you
sure.
you still need to get the work done in order to beat a candidate, because I have no idea who his running mate will be. I have no idea where he changes his conversation after he's the candidate. And if he does not arrive with 1,237 delegates, I agree, it may not be Ted Cruz.
Did you see his so-called policies, his prepared policy speech last week?
Yes.
It was just his normal ranting and raving, sort of strung into cohesive, coherent sentences.
Sure.
It was the same thing. So how he changes beyond if he should get the nomination, he's not going to change. He can't change.
The thing that's amazing to me about this is a year in which we have a lot of people who are supporting candidates that aren't your normal legacy. I mean, Clinton's a legacy candidate. Certainly, Jeb Bush was a legacy candidate. We have a lot of people who are outside coming in. I mean, Trump and Bernie, if they're not doing anything else, are bringing a lot of new people to the table to vote, which sometimes is very scary for those who have been around a long time. But did you ever think in the stretch of your imagination that 2 years ago that Donald Trump would be the leading candidate for the Republican Party?
I think
only once after some bad Chinese.
Yeah, well, and then I had to pee, and then it was it.
Yeah,
So,
and I can't tell you he's my favorite either, but I mean, I think the reality of it is that you got to understand that it's a reflection of where this country is at right now. The amount of pain this country has felt, this is manifesting itself into Donald Trump.
sure.
But could you support him
Would I support him
as a Republican?
Well, look, I'm going to be in the same boat that Joey's at with Bernie over here. At
Right.
the end of the day, I support Ted Cruz. That's because he's a constitutionalist, and that's where I fall on things. But in the end of the day, when if he doesn't carry the nomination, then it's either Hillary or it's Donald, and
you wouldn't support
and
Hillary.
I'm not going to sit
you
out.
would,
So
you wouldn't support Hillary if
I think,
Yeah,
I think
no,
even
probably
Lindsey
not.
Graham is going to vote for Hillary.
I know
think.
there was.
He probably would. I don't think they're too far apart.
Well,
Actually.
how can you morally reconcile yourself with voting for him?
Voting for Donald
Either
Trump
one of them, Trump
or Cruz. Oh yeah, well sure. Look, Cruz is my candidate because I like a lot of things he's fought for. I'm very big. I'm pro Second Amendment in a lot of respects. So that's a big factor for me, and that's something that he's gone to the mat on and won several times.
Here's the one thing I'll say about Cruz. I mean, he sticks to his guns. He stayed true to, whether you agree with his policies or not. He has stayed true to every single thing that he's ever talked about.
Absolutely.
With Trump, you have no idea because he has been
You know what you're gonna get.
in how many different camps at how many different times, and in the policy discussion you talked about, he got half of it wrong. You had all the
which
pundits.
is an improvement from
That's true. Yeah, not all of it wrong, but there was a lot of points that were made that the pundits and policy people had to correct him on.
And the thing that's amazing is I really do not think that Donald Trump, I mean, you've been in debates. You ran for assembly. You were in debates. You debated when you ran for mayor. I've been in numerous debates, and I have coached candidates in debates. I do not think from watching any of the debates that this guy prepared at all.
No.
I think he went in there just completely just working off the top of his head and enjoyed it.
But he never has ever given us.
watching it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here's the thing: he's a reality TV star,
Right.
and people love reality TV in
absolutely.
this country,
Yeah.
and that's what this has become. We've become a reality TV
They want
show.
to normalize their public representatives.
Right.
That's
Right.
what they want to do. And
We
they see
are,
him as normal.
we are coming to a hard
Scary
break.
thought.
Believe it or not, we actually have to break for some messages from our sponsors. You are listening to a very vibrant and good, healthy debate on New Jersey Would Exit, Punchlines and Politics. And we'll be back in about 2 minutes right after words from our sponsors. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ron Gramberg, founder of Clearwater Investment Management, a fee-only and independent registered investment advisory. Clearwater does not sell its own investment products and receives no compensation to recommend any product. Our only incentive is to generate great returns for you. As Clearwater's founder, I have nearly 2 decades of experience, at first as a security analyst, later promoted to portfolio manager overseeing $40 billion, and ultimately became the head of portfolio management at a large financial institution. But Wall Street wasn't right for me, too impersonal. That's why I started my own company. I'm a chartered financial analyst, the most difficult to get and most respected credential on Wall Street. Our minimum is $100,000. Call today and find out about Clearwater's personalized service and institutional quality advice. Consultations are free, and unlike the stodgy Wall Street concerns, I can visit you at your business. Reach out to me at 609-248-6065 or ron@clearwaterinvest.com. I can't wait to make your portfolio the best it can be.
And the sun goes down upon this river town.
Hi, this is Judith Marchand with PANJ Radio. I'd like to invite you to listen to my new show, Musical Notes, where I will be interviewing different musicians at 8 p.m. every night. Tuesday nights I will have a new musician, and then it will air the rest of the week. We'll be finding out what these musicians are all about and listening to some of their music. So tune in. It's going to be a great show on panjradio.com.
Feeling all
And welcome back. I want to thank that guy for blowing his trumpet each and every time. He is a union musician. We have to pay him each week. I appreciate him coming
Every
in.
time I hear that, I feel like I should give birth to a royal
You
baby.
should. It's a royal flush. I have to have a royal flush. So I want to welcome back. I'm Joey Novick. You are still listening to New Jersey Would Exit, Politics and Punchlines and Politics. And Johnny asked a great question during the break. I just want to start with that. What was your question again?
I just was kind of curious. Like it seems as though the first time that I really noticed, like I know it happened back with Reagan, where the party was kind of split, and they did this same thing that Cruz did, where he picked a running mate right away. Yeah. But why is the Republican Party so strongly against? Is it his mouth? I mean, like, what do you know? Like, why? Because he doesn't use their money, like against this man that seems to be uniting some people.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think that Donald Trump is probably touching a nerve with many of the working class people in this country who are just tired of getting left behind by politicians.
Agreed. But what's the reason why the Republican Party doesn't?
And I think the party's issue is that the majority of the party's leadership, particularly at the top, has been around too long. And like every so often, parties go through, like corporations go through a restructuring. Parties go through a revamp, and it's time for the Republican Party to experience a revamp. And
so your answer
that's what's going to happen.
Just it's not a political policy or his opinion. It's just that these older guys didn't get to pick him.
But I think it's
that simple.
He doesn't follow their rules that are established by the party elite or the party structure.
What's that rule?
Neither does Cruz or
whatever
Trump.
they decide the rules need to be.
But did they make it? Like, did he break it? I don't understand that.
I think he didn't kiss the ring. I mean, that's kind of what I think it's like.
As a Democrat, I mean, what I've observed in that party is, number one, he's definitely, breaking the rules because
he's broken every rule.
He's number
what
one.
What are the rules?
Well, just even common sense. Anything that he has ever said, any other candidate would have been gone the minute he said it.
When he made fun of that disabled guy, when he called Mexicans or allegedly called Mexicans rapists, if anybody else had done that, they would have been out of the race.
Right.
But for Trump, it was just Tuesday. It was just another day because he has different standards. And if you think about a guy, now think about this. I compare him somewhat with Nelson Rockefeller. I don't know if anybody remembers, but here was a guy who was from a multi-million-dollar family, but he also had a way of being attractive to the ordinary guy in the street. Donald Trump talks like an ordinary guy. He's a guy you can have a beer with. When he articulates opinions, a lot of those opinions people share. So he's a guy who's a billionaire, or at least he says he's a billionaire, and then he appeals very well to the average guy, which is very scary.
Donald Trump had not Mitch McConnell set his troops into motion in 2008 by declaring, Congress was going to take an 8-year vacation. And I think that's why you have a Trump today, because he just, because of McConnell.
Well, I think you have a Trump today, probably partially because of McConnell, because, look, I think the establishment Republican Party is facing a full-blown insurrection right now. Whether it's Cruz or it's Trump, it's going to be a complete rehab from the top down, I think. But I also think, too, to be honest, has not been a great economy, and I think that this is your average working class person is feeling some serious pain, regardless of whose fault that is. I personally believe it's current administration's fault in a good portion, but I think
in what way?
But I think overall that but I think I just want to finish my point.
Okay.
I think overall that the reality is that that this is a reflection of where the Republican Party's at, and it's about to experience a rebirth here.
But don't they know that last time that they went into this battle they lost because a portion of the Republicans went for that other group that was very strict.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Whatever that was.
The Tea Party?
The Tea Party.
Yeah. Tea Party?
And they kind of...
The Tea Party was yet one previous manifestation of an insurrection.
But it took a lot of the votes away. It broke the party up.
That started the break, I think, in the Republican Party.
That began the fracture.
Yeah.
But the fracture will, as it always does in an insurrection like this, it'll solidify once one of the two candidates is chosen, whether it either be Cruz or it's Trump. Both are outsiders. Both are not someone that the party establishment wants. And once they're chosen, that's going to be the candidate.
So what does a post-apocalyptic Republican Party look like?
once it's all said and done,
it'll be the third party.
Right. I think you're right. I think you're going to see a new party.
Steve Schmidt said that when he was at Eagleton a couple of years ago.
You're going to see.
That's the first thing he talked about is that the party is not following its true roots.
Now, do you know who the very first, the most successful third-party candidate was? the very first person who was elected as a
John
third party.
Anderson, I think I voted for him.
No, not this person got elected as the first candidate ever to run in a third party.
Joey Novick?
No, not me.
Okay.
That was Abe Lincoln. Abe Lincoln ran. It was the first candidate. It was the second candidate the Republicans ran for president. The first one they ran was in 1856. 1860, he ran. It was the Whigs, the Democrats, and the Republicans, and the Republicans ended up winning. Very, very big, and the reason why there's a parallel here, not just because it was Republicans, but there was a very big upheaval in the country. Slavery was the big issue. The country was very solidly split on which way to go, and they went to a third party. Now, here, I'm not quite sure if it's the same split in the same way as it was. And do you think that if Trump actually gets, and I'll use the word, if he gets screwed out of the nomination, if he shows up with 1236, he shows up with 1236, and they do not give it to him, does he run as a third party candidate? Does he get so ticked off?
No.
Does he get so ticked off?
No, because there's no win there. And he's smart enough to know. He's
Unless
a smart
he
guy.
just had a
He's smart enough to
spite.
know the end game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
he
out of
doesn't
spite, he's
care.
spiteful enough to just.
He doesn't.
No, but
Does he not?
ultimately-
He's
I
not
don't think
reckless.
he
Don't make
cares.
the assumption that Trump is reckless. Trump's not reckless. He's very calculating.
Right, but it's
And
not. But it's
you
not
know.
reckless for
But he's
him.
also, he doesn't like to be the loser.
No, he doesn't like
he's
losing.
going to fight this. I can see him fighting. But,
He'll come back
something
again.
that we always tend to forget about, it doesn't, regardless of who wins the presidency, until something changes in Congress,
Absolutely.
nothing
Right.
gets done. Because I don't care who wins. I don't think
The question will be is whether or not whoever wins can bring Congress to getting anything
Right.
accomplished. That's really the key.
based
I
on the
mean-
current makeup and structure, I don't think so.
Do you think it's going to hold? I don't know.
It's so
I
hard.
think-
You're not hearing about any of the other candidates, though.
I think we will more once the convention's
I
over.
hope so.
As a Bernie supporter, I think that if Bernie were the candidate, and realistically, it looks like his win scenario is more and more narrow. I don't think that Hillary Clinton necessarily brings the energy in bringing enough people to take back either house. Again, my own opinion as a Democrat, I think that is that's a little bit tougher. I do think that Bernie has been bringing more new people to the Democratic Party, which, as a Democrat, I've been trying to persuade a lot of these folks that if Bernie is not the candidate, that they really have to get in line by voting for Hillary Clinton. But that's been
That's going to be an uphill pitch.
Yeah,
it's going
it
to be
will
an uphill
be.
pitch.
It's been an uphill pitch.
Burned a lot of people over the years. And a lot of people
I was
feel
at the
disenfranchised
debate. I was at the Thursday night debate 2 weeks ago at CNN, where Bernie and Hillary were debating, and it really was like watching my parents argue over something. It was really, it was like, no, $15 an hour, no, $12 an hour. You're going to pay her, I'm going to pay, and they're arguing back and forth. And there's one thing I was noticing that Bernie was doing, which is a visual, which was driving me crazy, is Hillary would be giving an answer to a question, and Bernie would be raising his hand like this, and it was sort of like, excuse me, I have to go to the men's room. Is she finished, please? And I was thinking, I wish he would stop doing that, because he's very articulate and he was giving great answers going back and forth. And for every single time she would give an answer, he would be raising his hand.
I found that to be a turnoff too.
It was, and that's a little thing, but it was. But I found.
But imagine 8 years of that.
I can see him giving the State of the Union address. Sir, you have the floor. You don't need to raise your hand. Just give the speech.
Putin again. Excuse me.
I just don't want to say. But I love watching. The thing that's very exciting about this year in politics is, I have been involved in politics in Hunter County for 20 years. I was the county chair for 4 years, and I can tell you that, it's never boring. It is never boring. It changes constantly. And the fact that this year we've gotten down to Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, 17 candidates on the Republican side. Do you know at the end of March Madness, they usually roll that film and they show you all the great moments? I think that would be a great thing. After all of the things are done, all of the great moments in both debates would be very interesting.
That's what the circus was. They just did a recap. The TV show on Showtime just did a 12-week recap.
Oh, that's right.
Of all the campaigns, because they're doing
and
that
that's on
whole behind the
Showtime,
scenes.
right?
Right.
See, we don't have I have HBO. I don't have Showtime. But watching that,
I've been following.
What's it called? The Circus?
It's called The Circus.
Now, because it truly is this year.
And it's interesting because someone who has been, if you remember the 2000 election, Gore v. Bush, in Hunterdon County, a lot of people, I don't know if you remember this, but there was a congressional election of Rush Holt versus Dick Zimmer, who was former congressman. They were running against each other, and they were neck and neck. I was in the ballroom and the Nassau Inn in Princeton when the room was silent. Rush Holt was on the phone with Dick Zimmer because the same thing that was happening nationally. Now, do we have a close election? I mean, if it's Hillary versus Trump, is it a close election? I mean, do we have,
So I think it breaks somewhat solidly one way or the other.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I mean, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I tend to think so too. Well,
Yeah.
not as the margin wouldn't be, the gap wouldn't be as big as if it were Bernie and Trump. I think Bernie would out Trump.
Yeah, you see, I think the reason why, okay, so I don't necessarily think that I agree with a lot of my fellow Democrats and think that Hillary Clinton, that it's going to be a complete blowout if it happens
I don't
to be
think
Hillary
that's
Clinton.
that.
I don't
In any
think
way,
so
shape,
at
or
all.
form.
Because if you think about it, I mean, I think that Hillary Clinton, between Hillary and the other candidates, Hillary's approval ratings are really not that high. She is not well liked on the side, her approval ratings. Bernie Sanders happens to be very, very well liked. Now, on the Republican side, you've got Donald Trump also not particularly well liked. So you have these two people running against each other who don't have that, like a lot of times you watch a John Kennedy say, well, I just like the guy. I may not agree with all his policies when I'm voting for him because I like the guy. But I don't know what's going to happen here because I can't imagine one state, although I cannot imagine one state that Obama won in 2012 that Trump could necessarily take. Like, I can't think of one state that would necessarily go cut to Trump if
So
Obama.
I think what Hillary's greatest struggles is
Absolutely. That I think. That I agree. Sorry. That I agree. I agree with you. He wins Mexico. Obviously. How can I not know
all
that?
two
That's right.
delegates.
But do you think here's my concern is that I think Trump versus Hillary, the thing that could work in Trump's favor is low turnout.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I was just about to say. I think one of the greatest
But I think on
struggles
both
that-
sides, I think people
Yeah.
are just so the people who vote in the general election. I mean, because you think about it, the primaries are a broken system.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you have to be extreme on either side.
Yeah.
In
It's-
order to win your primary,
and the-
then you get to the general,
Right.
and then the people who are voting in the general are really middle of the road.
But Hillary's not lighting the fire under them.
No, she's not.
And I do-
but
and I
Trump's
do-
not either.
But
Trump, they're like.
But Trump touches a section of the population. Trump touches that population. Everybody tries to get to come out and vote, but won't. And actually, Obama touched that
Absolutely.
same population, a different population, but he touched that
different
same
group, right.
disenfranchised population and got them to come out and vote. And I think the
I
interesting
agree with
thing
you.
too, I think, and this is where a good example of this is, I honestly think that Hillary is kind of like your Jeb Bush, right? It's
I agree.
like old
Absolutely.
stodgy establishment that nobody really wants to turn out and vote for. And that's going to be your
if
struggle.
you think about it, I mean, of course, Jeb Bush did not exactly woo. He did not exactly. See, I think that one of the problems for somebody like Jeb Bush or Scott Walker were that there were almost too many people on that side that really splintered a lot of the mix. 17 candidates. You had people who would have gone for Kasich, who went for Rubio, went for Cruz, and I think that made it a little tougher for somebody like Jeb Bush to shine. But
And I think everyone assumed it was going to be a Bush-Clinton race
Right.
again. I think
Yeah.
that too many people kind of just said, "Oh, it's going to be Bush-Clinton. We'll be fine. We can just not
But
worry about it." And then all of a sudden,
So I have to ask you guys this. So as the as one of the only conservative in the room, probably, right? So the only question I would ask you is that. So how is it that the Republican Party managed to achieve a rebirth, right? It managed to achieve an ousting of the establishment, but the Democratic Party couldn't get there.
We've-
Bernie
you know
Sanders
what?
is
Democrats
kinda
did in
left behind.
2008, though.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, it's true.
they did that in 2000.
They did it in
Yeah.
2008 because Obama
It's
was
true,
not.
but she's back again. Right? How did that happen? She's back
Because
again.
We also
was-
don't have a
It's-
bench.
No, we have
Yeah,
no
that's true.
bench.
And
I mean, the
I agree
Republicans
with
don't
you.
have a bench either.
They have
but-
more of a bench than we do, though.
Well,
Yeah.
no, they had 17 people run. Doesn't mean they had a bench.
No, but they have government. See, when
Who's on their
Obama,
bench?
Yeah, a lot of it.
when Obama started as president in 2009, the Democrats had something like 30 or 31 governors
Right.
were Democrats. Now it's down to 17 or 18, and that's a lot of your bench.
You had
That's-
Kasich,
that's-
Walker, Huckabee.
Yeah.
I mean, and look at people typically. A lot of presidents come from governors because it's another executive position, and I
Right.
think that's much as
It makes sense.
mayor is, and and I think that's people look for that same type of experience. I think that
Right.
it's rarer to see presidents come out of the legislature.
Oh, sure.
You know?
It's happened like 4 times in the history. Obama was one of them.
Yeah.
And
It's even rarer coming out of a TV show.
Yeah, it's even rarer coming out of a TV show.
Hey, listen, all bets are off now.
Yeah.
This entire
Completely.
election season.
I know.
Hi. Ladies and gentlemen, can always count on Jim and I, John Lombardi, for the most unique, narrowly scoped
You said I'm supposed to give my opinion. I don't know.
I appreciate you giving your... Okay. No, but that worked. I think that's absolutely the case.
He's like that sniper that comes out of the night and we're in the silent. You just don't know what was happened. Yeah, exactly.
It's a bullet whizzed by my head.
What are you trying to say?
But I think that I agree with Janice, the mayor, that the Democratic Party had its turnover in 2008, and she came back. I mean, she really. I did not predict. I am so wrong this year in predicting.
I think we all are.
3 years ago, no, not wrong me. I had predicted that this year was going to be Jerry Lewis versus. Anyway, no, but I think that I think the thing is, I was actually thinking that it was going to be either Rand Paul, or it was going to be Scott Walker. I really thought that Scott Walker was going to be the guy because he seemed like a moderate guy who was a Republican who did a lot of the same things that Christie did in New Jersey, but without being as abrasive.
I knew it wouldn't be a moderate. I knew it wouldn't be a moderate. It was going to be an extreme one way or another because we 2 moderates in a row crashed and burned.
And yet, John
Romney,
Kasich is the only one who could possibly win it.
And then Kasich, and Kasich's a moderate, and Walker's kind of a moderate. I knew it wouldn't be a moderate. The public is so.
But
the public on the
Trump?
conservative side is so outraged. They want somebody who is bold, brash, and aggressive. That's who they want. They want somebody who manifests the feelings.
Who could potentially be a moderate.
Well,
or a liberal.
I think
socially,
socially, Trump's very much a moderate.
Although he thinks women who have abortions should be punished in some way, shape, or form.
I think for him, a lot of that stuff could change day to day.
Yeah.
And the fact that he can get away
Bruce.
saying that is just, I think,
but that is
blows my mind.
that is the most amazing thing about this candidate, where he can say something that
He's Teflon.
and that is the only thing.
More like Vaseline.
Yeah, thank you. And the next portion of the show is brought to you by Trump Vaseline. When you really need to be sneaky and you can get but Trump.
It won't hurt a bit.
It won't hurt a bit. Trump actually. That was the only thing that I ever heard Trump actually roll back on. He actually rolled back on the fact that he said this,
Well, because his entire staff went, I can't believe you just said that.
I mean,
he didn't even roll back on the Klan remarks.
I know it was amazing.
I don't think he rolled back to the extent that he should have. I mean, that should have
on
been
the woman remark.
On the woman remark,
Right.
That should have been a mea culpa. I was absolutely wrong. I spoke at it. That's not the sense that I got. He said the bare minimum of what he had to say. He refuses to ever accept that he said something wrong.
What was it? Who was he supposed to condemn to that he didn't condemn? And I forget
The
Klan.
the
It was the
Klan
Klan.
guy.
Right? Never.
David Duke,
Yeah.
I think.
It was the Goyim. They're the ones who no. But I think, but the thing that's interesting, and I think where Brian has really hit the nail on the head here, is people want someone who is not planned, does not seem like they stick their finger up in the air and see which way the wind is blowing every single time. And Trump certainly doesn't do that. I mean, Trump certainly doesn't do that. But, and they say, I talk about, look, I love Bernie. I mean, I've been going door to door for him. But the thing about, Bernie is as much of Bernie's been in government for 35 years himself, He's an entrenched outsider, but he's still entrenched there. Mm-hmm. And he's getting people very excited, young people very excited. And the thing about Trump is, I think his unpredictability is one of his strongest points.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's the kind of guy who will, look, if he becomes president, the reality is he'll get a lot done, but he'll shed staff on a weekly basis. Yeah, that's the kind of guy he's going to be.
Hi, I'm the Secretary of State.
He's that difficult, hard-ass boss we've all had at one point in time in our lives.
Again, Congress doesn't work for him.
No, you're right,
John.
You're right.
Would Bernie take the number 2 spot?
No, I don't think Bernie would take any. I don't think Bernie would be a number 2 spot. If Hillary were the candidate,
win right there.
Yeah.
That's
if Hillary, normally that sometimes happens. That happened with John Kennedy and LBJ. That happened with Reagan and George Bush. I don't think it's going to happen here for a couple of reasons. No. I don't think that Bernie brings. I think Bernie is going to bring his people to the table, whether he's in her.
Well, I think to affect policy.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
To affect Hillary's policy.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
But he would never be a running mate.
No, I don't think he would be a running mate.
And the one thing with Trump is, if he became president, we would finally learn was in Area 51.
That's true. Because there would be a reality TV show. Hello, I'm President Trump, and we're in Area 51.
Who's the former Jesse the Body Ventura? Doesn't he do one of those type shows now?
I don't know.
Conspiracy theory show?
Does he do?
He does that conspiracy theory
And he was the
show.
governor of Minnesota for
and he's a
4
rational
years.
guy, too.
Yes.
You know?
He was talking about these camps.
Yeah. I mean, I think that.
What, FEMA camps? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't remember what it was. I don't know. Someone was showing me a clip from one of
Wow.
one of his shows.
The camps, like
Excuse me.
like what they did during World War II?
Folks, Jesse Ventura is not on our list. We need to. No, I'm just kidding.
Speak for yourself. Talking about the reality TV star.
I got him beating Bobo Brazil for the world champion.
I know, but I was. We were talking before about Richard Jenney, and I always loved Richard Jenney's line about, hey, we should have the first Italian president. He goes, Mr. President, you're going to have to veto this bill. Hey, Vito, come here. I always thought that was such a funny line. But the thing about
it was when Jenny said it. Yeah.
Fist bump. All right. There you go. Thank you very much. And that gig is canceled next week. No, I think one of the things about Donald Trump is that his unpredictability is going to be a very positive in the race because you never know what you're going to get in a debate. And some of my Democratic friends were saying things like, "Oh, when Hillary debates Donald Trump, she's going to wipe the floor with him." But I don't think so. I think he's very good on his feet. I think that he's going to stick.
But will he pull the stunts that he's pulled in the previous debates, or is he truly going to try to stick to a policy discussion?
The bar is so low for him.
Well, I know.
The best thing that he has going for him is that the bar is so low that if he shows up with his zipper up, he has a couple of points that is there. I mean, he's made jokes. I mean, the whole thing with the women's card, I thought she handled beautifully.
Yes.
I mean, the way Trump,
mine.
the way Trump said, the only thing she has going for her is the women's card, and then Hillary jumped right on that and said, "Hi, get your women's card." I thought that to me was a brilliant counter move that she's made.
Well, she also has the ace in the hole too, and the fact that he supported her, and they've got film to prove it.
Right. And you know what?
Yeah.
I actually think that that's going to work against her.
Do you really?
Oh, absolutely. Because it shows that he's a guy who's willing to work with either party. He's a guy that can work with the Democrats, work with the Republicans. He said, when he was criticized during the debate for having written checks to the Democrats and writing a check to Hillary Clinton, his answer was, I'm a businessman. I have to work with everybody. If I'm the president, I have to work with everyone. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, I'm going to be. And you know what? They all shut up on that. They all shut up on the fact that he's a guy who's been a businessman and he's been able to work with both parties because he said to get stuff done, you have to work with everybody.
But she's got a history of that. When she was senator, she's worked both sides of the aisle.
It's different, though, as an executive.
Don't point your finger at me.
As an executive, he's had to work with people in politics from both sides of the aisle to get stuff done. It's different than doing it when you're in a legislature.
She was Secretary of State. She's had to negotiate with heads of state who are warring factions. You don't think she could work?
It's you people that don't understand what Donald Trump can do for this country. Donald Trump is. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I go on the other side too much? No.
Just a little bit.
On the other side. But I think that I do think that Hillary Clinton would win in a race versus Donald Trump. I don't think that was the reason I was saying before that I don't see any state whatsoever that Trump would win, that Obama did not win in 2012. I mean, I just don't see. I just don't see.
When Hillary comes and says like that line that you just said when Trump said the card thing, she came out with such a great line.
It was
back, but she did it in a fashion that made her look almost crazy.
Really? Do you think so?
When she was like this and yelling, and when you watched her again, but that was such a great, smart line. But when it was played back and you were watching,
and you don't think Trump makes the same crazy faces?
It's because Hillary's a woman. Every single time, exactly. There's always the comments I constantly hear. It's like she's so angry. I'm like, I don't know. Have you seen what's going on the other side? But because
two wrongs don't make it right.
No, but it's the woman. It truly is the fact that she's a woman, and there's this.
Is that angry? I don't think she's. Is she
You
angry?
just said it though. She had this look on her face.
Yeah, but I didn't say it was angry. I just said that she was like yelling when she could, if she could speak that the way she's thinking, like with that intelligence.
Be more civil is what you're saying.
You know,
right, yeah,
Well,
like that
but
instead of
I don't-
yelling it.
All she said was, "If I'm playing the woman card, deal me in."
Yeah, that's right. Which is a great line.
And
It
she-
was, and I don't think she had the.
There was more to that. There was more to what she said.
That was
She
that was
said-
the
there was
soundbite.
three other
though.
things.
That was a
three
sound,
more.
right? But I watched it, and I don't think that I saw. I mean, she's trying to get a point across, but again, because she's a woman, if you just took that verbiage and put it up against
Anything Donald Trump said.
says, and don't say who said what.
Right.
It's so much different, but. For whatever reason, and this was the issue we had the first time we did this show.
Yeah.
When Joey made the comment about.
I knew you were going to bring that up again.
Of course, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to hold that over your head.
I'm fist bumping you now.
Because
As women, I knew you were going to bring that up. So,
But too many times you put that because almost as you don't say it because she's a woman, but because she's a woman, they get that.
Do you find that with comedy too?
God, yeah.
I totally agree with
You
what
get the. I mean,
because it's
politics,
just-
absolutely,
Right,
especially
because
when I have blue hair.
I will tell you.
I like it.
I like
really
it.
do.
I will
Most
tell
people
you.
don't.
Oh, no.
In the early days of comedy, I will tell you that each one of my, I mean, as long as you're bringing up comedy, in the early days of comedy, there were very strict rules, unwritten strict rules. Only one woman on a show. I couldn't have more than one black act on a show, a Latino on a show. It was very, very concealed
It's still like
racism.
that. I got news for you.
Very
Maybe not with you, but it's still like that.
But I have had.
Yeah,
and
but
that-
wait a minute. But yeah, of course it's like that because comedy, you don't want to see three fat guys. You don't want to see three.
Fat is not. You see, Johnny,
Well,
that's
three
why.
black guys on the thing when you want to see. You
See,
don't want
that's-
to see, if you can mix it up.
But you see, that's where I
I
disagree
want
with
to
you.
hear. I want to see three people who are going to make me laugh,
Exactly.
and
Right.
I'm going to
Yeah, but-
enjoy it. I don't care.
My point.
Right,
My
but-
point regarding this.
Yeah,
though,
wait, just one more. You have no problem with three white guys on the show, though.
No, three different. Like if
Yeah,
they do it
okay.
different, right.
I guess we're getting.
You just
cut off.
said you don't want to see a show with three black guys.
No, I'm making,
I have to have you guys. I have to have
If they were
everybody
all the
here
same.
on again because we are coming down to the last 45 seconds. I just want to thank Janice, mayor of beautiful town of Clinton. Great stuff happening. 10 seconds. What's happening in Clinton? You want to plug?
Music on Main Street starting on Friday night.
Great.
Memorial weekend.
Great, Johnny. I'm sorry, hit the microphone. Johnny, where are you going to be next weekend? You want to plug? Where are you going to be?
the end of June, the whole week over at the Borgata.
Borgata. Go to see him at the Borgata. Julia, what's going on?
I'm going to be at the Eagle Theater in Hamilton, New Jersey.
Oh,
this
with
Saturday night.
big pants and
No, not with big pants.
Not with big pants.
Well,
Hamilton Theater.
Yeah, no,
Great.
I'll have regular pants.
And what's going on? And what's going on in Flemington?
So the
Anything?
only, just the thing, tomorrow night, we're going to have a town hall discussion on the Union Hotel at 90 Main Street.
Oh,
So-
really? Oh, at 90
7
Main
o'clock.
Street, 7
Yeah.
o'clock. I will definitely try to be there. Guys, I want to thank you all for being here. You have been listening to Joey Novick and New Jersey What Exit, Punchlines and Politics. I want to thank my wonderful guest tonight. A great conversation. But we didn't get to the list. We didn't get to anything on the list. I'm very upset about that. I spent hours making this list, and now I'm just very upset because we didn't get to it. No, it shows you what a
Next
great show
show.
we had. And the next show. Thank you, guys. Appreciate everyone coming down here. Just